Contractors, I'm talking to you. Your clients are not concerned about paying you. They do it all the time.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Contractor Success Academy. Today I'm here with Randal DeHart. Randal, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Mark. It's a pleasure.
Awesome to have you here. So for those of you who don't know Randal is the owner of Fast Easy Accounting. He grew up in the construction world, so raised in a construction family. Randal, you've owned remodeling businesses, handyman businesses, plumbing and mechanical companies. And not only did you study accounting, but you specialize specifically in construction accounting, right?
That is correct, yes.
So the presentation you've got for us today, the lesson that you put together is about performance indicators, specifically 5 of them.
Yes.
And I think this is going to be enlightening for a lot of people. So let's hand over the access, let you share your screen, and let's get on with it.
Okay. Mark, there are 5 KPIs or key performance indicators that for construction contractors that they should really consider using because it will really give them a focus on their business. The problem in construction, and especially in construction accounting, is, let's say, take QuickBooks, for example, there are hundreds of built-in reports, and there's an unlimited number of variations you can do. But when it comes down to it, contractors don't have time for that nonsense. You just need something simple they can work with. So I developed a program years ago, I called the 5 KPIs for construction contractors. But let's go with some basics to start with, and let's talk about the primary purpose of construction accounting. Number 1 is the internal reports. And those are the ones that you use to operate and grow your construction company. Now, without going into a lot of detail, internal reports are based on accrual accounting. So that means you bring into account accounts receivable, accounts payable, and things that are going to happen in the future. And external reports are what we use for filing taxes, getting audits, loans, lines of credit, and that's all cash accounting. It's a whole different ballgame. So we're going to focus on the internal reports for contractor accounting. So construction accounting versus regular accounting. This is an interesting thing because I had several degrees. And my first one was in accounting in 1976. And it was so funny because out of 4 years, 72 to 76, out of 4 years of accounting, we only spent about a week on construction accounting, which is kind of funny because I grew up in a construction family. And there's like 3 kinds of contractors. There's a dog and pickup truck. There is the salt of the earth. And there is a professional contractor. And the difference between the dog and pickup truck, he's by himself. He's having a lot of fun. Salt of the earth contractor has himself and 3 employees because he can hold 2 by the throat in each hand and eyeball a 3rd one. Then the professional contractor has anywhere between 5 to 10 employees. Enterprise is over 50. And so what happens is there's a big difference between the 2 the 2 accounting systems. Like I said, in that first week, that 1 week that we spent in construction accounting, I got a real eye-opener because in construction accounting, there are 1 to 10 categories of products and services that you see in the upper left-hand side and the sales categories. Right. In regular accounting, there's only 1 to 4 categories. In construction accounting, we have direct and indirect construction costs with hundreds of categories and so on and so forth. And you can read it for yourself later. But products sold 1 to 4. And expenses and overhead are a big complex thing in construction accounting as opposed to regular accounting. And the one thing I want to touch on very briefly is cost of goods sold is what something called job costing is based on. And expenses is what takes place in overhead. So expenses should very rarely differentiate. And in construction accounting, it's difficult to calculate the break even because a lot of projects are custom and one-of-a-kind jobs. But if you're selling stuff like at the Home Depot or Costco, you buy a product for $1, you sell it for $2, and you know your break even is. It's pretty simple. In construction accounting, it's a whole different ballgame, and I've got a whole system for that later. So let's go forward.
So I guess, Randal, sorry to interrupt you. The takeaway there is that construction accounting is obviously a little bit more intricate than your standard, run-of-the-mill, accounting practice.
You are so right. Just another quick insight. I think it was Malcolm Gladwell says it takes 10,000 hours or 4 years to master anything, any kind of trade, doesn't matter what it is, and another 10,000 hours to get a specialist. So the funny thing was, when I got my degree out of college, at a university, I worked in an accounting firm for a very short time, and several contractors came in, and they were rather, let's say, they're rather abusive and loud and nasty and mean, my kind of people. And you gotta love it. And can I tell you a really quick story?
Yeah, go for it.
This is a true story. Now, I preface this by saying this was the 1970s, okay? And this is not today. And so a home builder came in and said, I need one of you blankety blank blanks to put together my books. I need to know what I'm doing, profit, loss, and balance sheet. I said, I'll take care of it for you. And he said, you little punk. And I said, old man, I think I can handle it. And so I put together his profit, loss, and balance sheet, and he's a builder. Now, builders have a whole different situation, because that was called, they move things from cash into other assets, or what's called work in process. I didn't know that. And so I put everything into cost of goods sold. And he took his financials to his banker, and his banker turned him down on the loan because he was losing money left and right because I had put it into cost of goods sold. He came back mad and hops and started using bad words and saying, I should take you out in the back and we should have a little discussion. And I said, well, the back of the building is where the parking is, and I could go out there with you, old man. I'd hate to, though, because I'd beat the living crap out of you, because I'm at that point, I'm like a brown belt in Taekwondo. I'm big, I'm bad, I'm 275 pounds, and been in construction, and I'm meaner than a junkyard dog. So we went out to the back alley, the back parking lot, and Mark, I beat the living crap out of that builder. I banged on his fist with my nose until and then I knocked the living you-know-what out of his knee with my face, and then I proceeded to make his hand, both sides of his hand red, by putting my face on there and letting him slap it to no end. And there were additional, I felt bad for the poor guy because I think he kind of wore out his fist, pummeling my chest and gut. So the long and short was, I got my ass handed to me, and we get all done. I said, how in the world did you do that? And he says, punk, you may be a brown belt in Taekwondo, but I'm a contractor, and I get into fist fights on the job sites at least once a week. So I'm very skilled. Anyway, we became really good friends, and I discovered there was something called construction accounting. And I delved into it and started doing some research and discovered that basically is another 10,000 hours. And I spent a lot of years getting grounded in construction accounting. And that's what helped us open our own business in construction accounting. So that was kind of a segue. Did that help?
Nice. Yeah, backstory. I appreciate that.
Sure. So yeah, short story is construction accounting is very complex. It is not a standard review accounting. It is extremely intensive. But once it's set up correctly, pretty much anybody can do it. The key is the setup. That's the key right there. Okay. So enough said?
Enough said.
Okay. So we've heard this 1,000 times, that what gets measured gets managed. The 5 at 5 for 5. If you review these 5 reports at 5 p.m. daily for 5 minutes, you can gain tremendous insights in your business. Now, that's a mnemonic, 5 at 5 for 5. It's sort of like, how do you memorize the 5 Great Lakes when you're in school? Use the word homes. Huron, Ontario, Michigan, Erie, and Superior. So 5 at 5 for 5. And you can do it at 8 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock at night. It doesn't matter. The key is they have to be done every day. Otherwise, they lose value real quick. They're just 5 reports. There's nothing to it. It really isn't. So the first report is cash. And you can put it, contractors, you can put a cash report on your icon bar on QuickBooks. Really simple. You just do a custom summary report and you roll it up there and you put an icon bar. I'll give you a Randalism. Cash is a fact and profit is an opinion. And the reason I say that, because if you ask your bookkeeper, hey, bookkeeper, what's 2 and 2? And they'll say 4. Ask your accountant what's 2 and 2. And they'll say, well, vertically it's 4, horizontally it's 22. Ask your chief financial officer what's 2 and 2. They look a square in the eye and say, well, what do you want it to be? So cash is a fact. Contractors, profit is an opinion. And I can make profit say anything you want it to say, except for one time of the year, December 31st of the year, we all agree, because that's when profit comes into play, and that's the one time of the year that there is no playing around with it. So number 1 is cash. Number 2 is accounts receivable. The clients owe you money. And this is really important, because I have a lot of contractors I see that they have the accounts receivable and people owe them a lot of money, but they're not really paying attention to it. Mm-hmm. So if they put that as an icon on the icon bar, as an aging summary, then they'll be able to see who owes them money and how much and for how long, and is it current? Is it over 60 days or 90 days? Because that's really important. My rule of thumb is, when I ran all my businesses, and I ran some businesses in 7 figures, and I even worked for some people, some developers, which I really enjoyed. That's code for they're hard to get along with. And some home builders, and I loved home owners. They're fantastic. But everybody from the developer down, I always told them the same thing. I'm a contractor, not a banker. And so we had very few ARs. I think at one point I had a $4 million business, and I woke up one night and in cold sweats, and I couldn't sleep because I had $8,000 in ARs. So the next day I collected them. I was panicking. I don't like loaning money, but sometimes you can't help it. Okay, so I understand that. And sometimes it's not, you cannot help it, but that's where the AR summary report comes in. It's helping you control those ARs. Do not let them get out of control. There's a lot of backstory behind that too. Okay, understand, I call this, Randall, secret number 1, get the money. And so for my consulting clients, I give them a mantra. I said, every morning, wake up and, and do your thinking patterns and get yourself centered and get into the lotus position and repeat after me, get the money, get the money, get the money. Because I find that contractors are reluctant to get the money. But you know what? It goes away quickly, because money is the lifeblood of any business, and especially a contracting business, because of what I call LEMOS. Labor, material, other costs, and subcontractors. So too often contractors are just a conduit. They're a pipe through which money flows. And that's why I say it's not comfortable, but you've got to get the money. And there's a reason behind that. We were raised as children to not be rude and ask for money. You're being rude. Don't ask for money. And now I've got to get them past that nonsense and ask for money.
So what do you see, Randall, typically, I mean, from the years of experience, where is it that people fall short here in terms of acting more like a bank or a lender? Is it they're not getting money up front? Is it they're just not good at following up on their receivables? Where is it exactly?
Okay, I'll tell you what it is. And this is a little bit more in depth, but again, my consulting clients, I tell them it's very simple. You go to a client's house or a project or new construction. It doesn't matter. And I had the same thing with builders. They tell me, you can't do that. And I do it anyway. If the project is going to be over $1,000, then I want a deposit. So if I do a bid for a new home that put the home mechanical in and it's going to be $20,000, you know what? I want $5,000 before I start. If I'm going to someone's house and we're going to clean a drain or fix a faucet, it's like $100. I'm just going to do it and get paid at the end. But here's the problem: is a contractor goes and gets a call, and Joe homeowner or builder wants an estimate. And they say, okay, fine, I'll take your bid, Bob, and it's $20,000, great. And you submit on the 25th, we pay on the 10th. Well, too often they will fund a whole bunch of work. By the 25th, they'll submit the report or the pay application, and they won't get paid in the 10th because they missed a comma or a period or something of that nature. So I see it happening. They're not getting a deposit up front. So always, always, always ask for a deposit up front. Now, here's another one, which is really kind of interesting, because one of the contractors is a friend of mine. He's out of business now. He retired. But he had 13 trucks doing service repair, handyman type work. And the guy was bringing in like 30 to 50,000 a month in Hip National Bank. And he'd send a truck out and they would do a repair. It was like $1,500. I'd say, well, man, I need to deposit for $1,000. And the next day they'd finish the job up. I need to deposit for 500. So I see what's happening. They're just not getting deposits, or they're doing a whole bunch of work and they're getting too busy and they don't have time to invoice. So that's the two things: not getting deposits and not invoicing. So that's important. They need to get their invoices out quickly.
Right.
And QuickBooks, you can use all kinds of things. Just take an invoice pad with you. You can do it on your phone. So invoicing and deposits are two things. And the other big money leak, which is huge whole money leak, are the change orders. The 4 important words. While it's open anyway,
yeah,
I just thought of something. I love change orders. Let's do a change order, and let's document it, and let's get paid for that change order before we even start it.
right.
Too often contractors say, well, yeah, okay, I'm right here. I can just go ahead and bang that out. So that's 3 areas I see that they're not getting their money. And a really simple, easy way to get money, and I love this, it's fantastic, is every contractor should employ the services of an electronic armored car that'll take their money to the bank for them automatically. It's called Accept Credit Cards. Accept MasterCard, Visa, American Express, Novus, Discover. Accept them all. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard contractors say, well, I can't afford to pay the discount. And I'm a moment, you know what, Mark? I've done this too long. I don't care anymore. I don't argue. I say, okay, fine. A quick segue. We had a remodel business in the 80s, and I wanted to take credit cards in our trucks. I never could do it. This guy calls up from California one day, about 85 or 87, I think it was. Would you like to take credit cards in your business? And I said, I should get on a plane, come down there, and lay a beating on you. Of course I want to take credit cards. I can't do it because we don't have a store. And he said, well, the rules got changed about a week ago, and now mobile businesses can. And I said, okay, what's involved? He said, you got to buy a terminal. And I said, how much is a terminal? He said, it's $3,500. And I said, and he said, there's a discount. How much is that? He says, it's 5%. And then there's all these other fees. And I said, fine, I'll take one. So I wrote a check for $3,500. I got a terminal. I took my truck down to the marine store, and they put in an RJ11 jack on our trucks so we could take the credit cards actually in the truck. Each one of those vehicles ran about $10,000 to get the credit card system set up inside it.
Wow.
Mark, it paid for itself literally within 6 months.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Only contractor taking credit cards. And we go to, mom's house and go to Mary's house, and Mary said, I need a faucet fixed or a fixture put out. And we say, is there anything else that you want while we're here? Well, yeah, but I don't get paid until 2 weeks. Well, put in your credit card. Oh, you take credit cards? Man, the add-on sales went to the roof. Enough said. Is that powerful or what?
Yeah, that's like a no-brainer now. It's just eliminating any kind of friction. People have options. Now there's so many tools, like you say, apps that kind of facilitate that. There's no reason why. Even just financing and stuff. There's all kinds of vehicles for that. So.
Oh, yeah. So take credit cards, get financing.
Yeah. There's no reason to be overexposed, to the degree which you were referencing.
Oh, yeah. And I see contractors doing it all the time still, constantly. Right. And I got to move forward. But the other thing they can do too is set up a relationship with a credit union or a small bank or a finance, like household finance. And they'll finance the job and you get paid right now.
Yeah, so exactly.
I always tell my contractors, same thing we did. We always tell our clients, well, we offer financing. Frankly, Mark, we don't. We offer credit cards and we have relationships with credit unions and banks. So again, get the money. So that's what I see as the most important things. Those are the 4 things identified. All right. Mistake number 1, invoicing for accounts receivable. I see this all the time. The balance is aging. Do not make the mistake of thinking it's simpler to create an invoice for the whole job and receive payments on it. Contractors who don't get money early and often, they do get nasty surprises, and we see this all the time. They'll get a job for $10,000. They'll put one invoice in QuickBooks, and then they'll try to issue an invoice request for $1,000, and then QuickBooks gets all gnarled up because now it thinks the customer owes $11,000 and then $12,000. Then you got a big mess. Okay, so just invoice for what you've done so far. Now they can do an estimate and they can invoice against the estimate, but that invoicing at one time is a big mistake. We see that so often. Okay. Now let's just again, you're a contractor, not a banker. So get that job deposit, get progress payments weekly, because I'll give you Randalism. 7 days without new money makes contracting companies weak. WAK. Okay. And like I said, one day I woke up in a sweat because I had $8,000 out there that was in receivables. Well, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm sure you do this, Mark. If I've got 8,000 cash on hand, I can find a place to put it, even a money market account, and get 2%. So there's all kinds of places to put that money to, that I can get use out of it. So I can't stress that enough. You're a contractor, not a banker. And I see a lot of macho contractors out there, and I talk to them every day. Well, Randall, I don't look like I'm weak and, have to get money all the time, that I can't afford to finance a job. I said, well, actually, if you're comfortable doing that, go ahead and do it. And the next thing you know, they call up and say, I need to get a line of credit, or I need to get another credit card. So I look at their balance sheet, and they're paying a ton of interest on their. I said, well, I know of a place we can get some cash real quick. It's AR.
Yeah.
Oh, and they'll say, I never thought of that. And I'll say, darn it, I wish somebody would have said something.
Yeah. Then you send them a bill, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I like to get paid too. It's funny. Sherry likes lots of cash. And, so do I. And I say it's tongue in cheek, Mark, because I can't tell you, I love contractors. I've been around for all my life. I just absolutely love them. I love them all. And I'll give you a little insight. This is a psychological insight. Contractors who are tough and mean and hard, they have a soft, nudity center. So what happens is, if a contractor is tough, mean, and hard, and difficult to get along with, it just means that they started out as good people, and they got screwed and tattooed a few times, they get a little mean. But once you get to know them, every contractor that I've come across are good people. I'm going to say less than 2% should get out of business, because they're not contractors, they're scammers. But 98% of the people they're just good people. So if we approach it from that point of view, life is good. So you're a contractor, okay? You're not a banker. And the other insight too is that your clients, contractors, I'm talking to you, your clients are not concerned about paying you. They do it all the time. One of my favorite examples of a well-run business is McDonald's. Put your money out at window 1, get your food at window 2. Or go inside, put your money to the clerk, and then get your food. McDonald's does not send an AR. So most fast food outlets do that. In a little insight, contractors, as a rule of thumb, make about 2% net profit. McDonald's is somewhere around 25% net profit. Now, you tell me, why should a fast food joint make 12.5 times more than most contractors? I think it's wrong. I think it's right. They're doing fine. I just think the contractors should catch up. So, secret number 2, uninflated invoices lose value. And this is another thing I've really got to stress. Less than 30 days, it has a lot of value. 39 to 60 days, it goes down. And then it goes down to 121, it has 2% value. There is a thing in psychology, which is called, if you want a friend, buy a dog. You can teach a man how to fish, and they eat for life. You can give him fish, eat for the day. People are funny, because if you give me money, if you take care of my needs, if you give me food, clothing, and shelter, I'll take it for a while, but then all of a sudden one day I'm going to bite you in the hind end. I'm going to tell you how much I hate you. I'm going to tell you you're just nothing but a dirtbag and a jerk. But I digress. I love my children. And when they turned about 18, you know, dad was an idiot. And when they about 25, they're on their own, dad got pretty smart. It's the same with customers. If we let them finance and they never pay us, that the longer it goes, let's say it's going to 90 days, then what happens is, you know, I really shouldn't have had that remodel done or that work done in my house. And now this contractor is billing me. And I don't have money. He knows that. This guy's a ripoff. I shouldn't have to pay. It's all his fault. It's bizarre, but that's how it works. And that's why credit companies and people get really upset when you run over 60 days because they know the value goes down really quick. Mm-hmm. So is this helpful?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so get those invoices. And I'll give it another secret. This is not here. Another secret number 3. And I have used this, and I've had other contractors use it, and it works. I'm sorry, it's rough, but so is camping out in the urban environment because you didn't have a good cash flow. Right. If I pick up the phone and I call Joe Blow and say, Joe, you owe me $5,000, then what's the weight of that cell phone? About 8 ounces, 9 ounces, 10 ounces? I don't know what it is, about 10 ounces. When we're all done talking, he hangs up, and that 10 ounces, he puts it in his pocket, and he goes away. I go away. But there's something magical about showing up to their house about 6 o'clock when it's dinner time and saying, Joe is in the neighborhood. I decided to stop by and pick up a check. By the way, I'm really desperate. Can I use your restroom? When the camel gets his nose in the tent, the rest of the body follows. Now, all of a sudden, I'm in Joe's house, and I'm using his restroom. I'm being courteous. And I'm taking Joe aside and I said, Joe, I'd like my check. He said, well, you know, I don't have any cash right now. I'll get to you later. Well, I did bring my credit card machine or my swiper or my phone. Well, I really don't want to do it right now. I said, Joe, you don't have to. It's not a problem. I'd like hen's fruit and pig's butt. What? Well, tomorrow morning for breakfast, I'd like ham and eggs, toast, jelly, and black coffee. I'm going to be here living at your house until I get paid because I got no place to go. And I can't go home because my wife won't let me in without money. It sounds funny. It's hard. It's crucial. It's cruel.
Yeah, you make a point for sure.
But I have done that with developers and builders and hardcore people. And I've had several developers and builders. I'll never hire you again. I said, fine, that's okay. The next thing you know, the next project rolls around. Hey, Randall, I got a project. You do. And I say, you understand my collection method, don't you? Yes, I do. We'll make sure you get paid, you SOB. All right. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit hard. All right.
That's
enough
good.
said.
Like
And just a quick segue. I've had some major failures in business over the last 45 years, and they've come down to, guess what? 3 things: cash. So I have a neural link there. Let's move forward. Accounts payable, KPI number 3. This is the amount you owe to the vendors, suppliers, and their companies. And keep track of those APs. In contractors, God love you, I love you. Don't let them get out more than 60 days. Pay your vendors off because you're going to get a lot of traction with your vendors if you keep them current. And there's a whole lot of information there we can cover later. But this helps you keep track of your APs. Don't let them go long. It's really important. Relationships are everything. So if you call up your vendor, not like Home Depot or Lowe's, but let's say your HVAC supplier or your drywall supplier, and you talk to them and say, I got an emergency. I need a delivery, in a couple of days or this afternoon. Can you squeeze me in? Well, if you pay your bill on time, yeah, they're going to squeeze you in. And if you're a slow pay, I'm sorry, we're booked out for a couple of days. We'll get to you on Wednesday, Thursday. So big money and keeping those payables up. Okay. Can I segue one more thing on this APs? Mm-hmm. This is really important. Contractors, if you have the opportunity with your vendors to get a 2% discount, it's called 210 net 30. So if you pay the bill by the 10th, you can take a 2% discount, pay the bill. Even if you got to put it on a credit card, pay the bill. Because if you're interested, anybody listening is interested in this, by the way, I have an investment. I'll guarantee it will make you a 36% annual return on investment. So anybody's interested in a 36% return annual investment, stay tuned. If you're not, just kind of ignore this next part. So 210 net 30, what that really is saying The vendor is telling you that you can borrow my money for 20 days, from the 10th to the 30th, and I'll only charge you 2% interest on that money, the discount. Well, now, if we take a 360-day calendar interest year divided by 20, we have 18 periods of 20 days each. Well, 18 times 2% is 36% interest. So this goes to another Randalism. It's really important with my consulting clients all the time. And they get it after a while. The money in construction, Mark, I love you. The money in construction is made in the office, not in the field. And there's a book written by Sun Tzu, based on Sun Tzu, and he talks about if the grand strategy is correct, a number of tactical errors can be made, yet the enterprise proves successful. However, bad strategy cannot be overcome with efficient operations. So let's not be confused. Don't go out there and beat up your staff and whatnot and say, hey, you need to work faster, you need to get things in quicker. You need to, bend more pipe, pull more wire, get more drywall up, dig more ditches. No, the real money in construction is made in the office. And I can't stress that enough. I'm going to get off my soapbox. I'll be here for an hour. Okay, profit and loss. There are three types of income. There's the contracting job income. You sold the job for $10,000. Okay, and the two major leaks are the change orders and the add-on sales. Okay, you might get change orders, you might not, but do go to whoever the person is and say, oh, by the way, I just looked online and there's a brand new faucet, there's a brand new drywall, there's a brand new carpet or whatever that just came to market, and I think it's something we should consider. Or I know we're going to put carpet on the top 2 floors. What do you think about we add on and put carpet on the bottom floor? There's a million places for add-on sales, and people love to buy. Case in point, my trophy wife, Sherry, 45 years. I love her to no end. I've got to keep her out of Costco, the $100 store. She loves to go to Costco, and she always finds stuff that's so important she has to buy it. So Costco does a lot of add-on sales masterfully. Income minus the cost of goods sold, that's the gross profit. It's just the job cost. Well, the gross profit minus expenses is a net income. So there's profit and loss in a nutshell. Income, cost of goods sold, expenses. And just a quick segue is the cost of goods sold fluctuates depending on the amount of volume of jobs we have. But the expenses, the overhead, they shouldn't fluctuate much at all, not more than about 10% month over month.
Right. So
if it's fluctuating overhead too much, then there's actual job cost and the expenses that shouldn't be there. So one of the questions I get asked my contractors all the time is, when's an income? Well, estimates are not income. Job deposit is not income. Technically, job deposit is liability, but it's not accounts payable. So income is really simple. It's when a payment is made for an invoice. So when a job deposit is applied to an invoice, or when they use a sales receipt. So you see the little picture over here. I've got income comes from applying job deposits and customer payments, invoices, estimates. So it's pretty simple. That's what income is. Income, by the way, is not when they put money into the business. So let's say they took money out of their own personal account and they put it in the business. It's not income. That's just an investment. Mm-hmm. So you take money in and out of the business all day long. It's not income. It's not expense.
Right.
So number 4, the KPI number 4 is profit and loss. So that can go in the icon bar to the right-hand side, and that's what it looks like. And it's pretty simple. So the profit and loss, we're going to keep it collapsed and just give the highlights of what's going on. And you see on the right-hand side, we have percentages. That's what we're really paying a lot of attention to, the percentages, because they'll fluctuate, and that's really important. KPI number 5 is the balance sheet. And the balance sheet, I love the balance sheet because this is a summary report. This actually brings in all 4 previous KPIs because it has a cash report, the accounts receivable, payable, and profit and loss. So that is a summary report. That kind of shows everything. And then the 3 O's of the balance sheet, and there's 3 O's there, that is what you, assets is what you own, liabilities is what you owe, and the equity is what's left over. So if the assets of the company is $100,000, and they have $50,000 in loans and debt and lines of credit and credit cards, then your company is worth $50,000. So in theory, if they sold it and paid everything off, they have $50,000 cash in their hand to go party or do what they want with. Simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a simple accounting equation. Now, again, KPIs. That's what goes in the balance sheet. That's what it looks like. So I want to segue briefly again on this KPI. And here's the reason why we do these 5 at 5 at 5. We look at them every day. There's something in the brain called the reticular activation device. It sits in the frontal cortex. And in case you're not familiar with that, that is pattern recognition. And that's why the plumbers can go into someone's home when they go into a commercial location and they take a look at underneath the sinks and different places, and they know immediately if whoever put the plumbing in did a beautiful job or if they were clowns. Same electricians or your trade. You can just know. You just look at it and say, oh, this is good, or oh, this is crap, because of the reticular activation device. And we see patterns. Here's the key. If we do this every day, then I swear, I kid you not, within 21 days, the brain is going to start seeing changes in those percentages of columns. And they're going to say, hey, what is that? There's something different there. And they'll start dialing in and drilling down. And I know who's doing this and who's not, because they'll call up, we'll have a conversation, or consulting clients. Randall, I've noticed that my labor cost went from 15% to 17%. And I'm not sure why. And so we go take a peek at it, and we look at it and we say, oh, because you gave out a bonus, or because something else took place. Or here's a big one. Okay. Now I know that most contractors don't have this. I had this happen quite a few times. We had all kind of controls in it, but a lot of times material would grow legs and walk off. Surprise, surprise.
Right.
Okay. One of the best ways to watch for that is in your profit and loss. There's that material account. And so material runs 15%, 15%, I'm just making this up. That's pretty close. 15%. All of a sudden, one day it spikes up to 20. It's like, what the heck went on? Mm-hmm. And so they go to that material account and look at it, and they realize that there was a massive amount of material that was purchased the last few days, and there's no job assigned to it. And so they look into it more deeply, and they go to that material sheet, and they go to the invoice, and they go to the packing slip, and they call a supplier and say, where does this material go? Oh, it went to 123 Elm Street. He said, okay, thanks. And they hang up the phone, and they have no job at 123 Elm Street. But what they do have is an employee that lives at 123 Elm Street. Now, I've had this happen more than once.
Wow.
And it happens a lot. And I've had other contractors, and I've had the contractor who had a long-term employee, and their material costs kept going up. It was out of whack. And I looked at it. I knew what it was. I could see it real easy. Okay. It's one thing to see something, Mark. It's another thing to bring it to somebody's attention. So,
yeah, for sure.
Honesty is not the best policy. Mm-hmm. All right. I've lost a little weight. Now I'm down to about 175, 174.
All muscle.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And 2 years ago I was 275. Wow. So I was having a lot of fun. So I lost a little weight. Honesty is not the best policy. So if somebody were to come on the street and say, hey, you're fat, and I would reply with, yes, I am. And you're ugly, but I can lose weight. So I would never tell somebody that one of your employees is stealing from you, because they don't want to hear that nonsense. Anyway, this particular contractor had a warehouse, had a lot of material in the warehouse. And I said, would you do me a favor? This is really going to help you. I think Frank, your warehouse guy, he has a van. I said, that van, I'm sure it's just filthy. Okay. You like Frank? Oh yeah, he's my buddy. I love Frank. I said, why don't you surprise Frank with a coupon to have his van, this is his personal van, have his van cleaned and spiffed up. And what do you call that when they do that? I forget now.
Detail.
I said, give him a coupon to have his van detailed.
Right.
Okay. And give it to him on a Friday night before he's ready to go home. And meet him out of his van, at his van. He will love you. I tell you what, You will get such a reaction from Frank. It will surprise you to no end. It'll bring tears to your eyes. He said, really? I said, oh yeah, Frank's worth it. And a detail's going on $100, right? But that $100 is going to buy you so much goodwill, and you're going to get an immediate return on that $100. I mean, within 5 seconds, you're going to get a return. It's going to blow you away. And I said, if you don't get a return on that within the first 5 seconds of giving him that coupon and opening the door of his van and showing him what a mess it is, then call me. I'll send you a check for $100. The guy called me on Monday and said, we fired Frank. We called the police. What? 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 You know, that son of a, you know what? That SO, you know what? What did he do? That blankety blank blank, he had a bunch of material in his van. He had fixtures. He had faucets. He had connecting hardware. They were a plumbing contractor. He had all kinds of expensive stuff. He had what's called Groy faucets. He said this person was selling it on eBay.
Wow.
I said, no.
Who would have thunk?
Who would have thunk? There's gambling. What was that movie, Casablanca? What? There's gambling going on here? I'm shocked. Shocked, I tell you. And so I said, I'm shocked. Shocked, I tell you. He said, Randal, I can't believe that. He said, you know what? If I had to give him that friggin' gift certificate and open his door, I'd have never known. And he said, he was so shocked when I went to the door handle and opened it, and he started panicking. And he said, I almost beat him in the ground. And he said, the next thing you know, I started yelling so loud. He said, people came out and somebody called the police, not to have him arrested, but to protect him because I was ready to kill him. I said, you don't want to kill anybody. Don't do that. But here's a short story, okay? I'm sorry. This is terrible, but we live in an entitled mentality, and we have since the dawn of time, okay? You're the contractor. You're the one making all the money. You're the one enjoying the great lifestyle. And that's code for you're working 80 hours a week and you're sweating it, trying to make payroll and so on and so forth. And the employees have no idea, bless their hearts, and I love them, but they just have no idea. So that one thing on the KPI, that profit and loss, watch that material. And if it starts to spike up, then I would start poking around and finding out, is there somebody who's maybe got sticky fingers or got glue in her fingers and the material is sticking there. That was a lot of information. Was that useful?
Yeah, absolutely, Randal. I think, like you say, if people take the time to pay attention to this daily, it just becomes habit. You get yourself in a position where you can easily identify, obscurities and trends that are not aligned with what you're used to seeing, so you can spot problematics quick. When do you think people should take kind of a bigger, like the 30,000 foot view, right? Is it quarterly? Is it monthly? Because, sometimes, the whole micro macro concept, you're looking at the details, you're in the trenches, but when you take a step back and analyze your year and your goals and where you've come from and all that sort of thing, how do you advise people to kind of look at that?
Okay. This is a great question, Mark. I mean, this gets into the advanced class. I've got good news and bad news. The good news is that the contractors that make a lot of money and are very successful, they have a formal business plan. Okay. And there's only one thing worse than a formal business plan, and that's sticking a 2x4 and hitting yourself in the head with it. Putting together a formal business plan is so boring and so intense that people don't like to do it. But if they'll just get business planning software, and there's a million pieces of it on the web. I happen to be a big fan of what's called bplans.com. Put together that business plan. It's boring as heck, but it's worth it. And then review that business plan every quarter is good. Now, again, the people who really do it well, once a quarter, do a meeting with yourself, your spouse, who are the key people in your business, and just pop for the business plan real quick and see how you're doing your projections versus your actuals. And then once a year, I like, sure, and I still do this, once a year around the new year, somewhere in January, between the 1st and the 15th, take 3 or 4 days and go in a hotel room or go to a spa or someplace that has a nice view, and then pull up that business plan and get a little more intense and delve into it and do some really deep thinking and ask yourself, here's an important question. I'm 35 years old. How long do I want to do this? I'm 40, same thing, or 50. And what am I going to do when I tell me this? Do I want to sell the business, or do I want to just shut it down? Do I pass it on to my kids? So do some of that intense thinking once a quarter and once a year. Now, the other thing that people can do, and including the business plan, and you don't have to have a business plan to do this. Now, this is super secret. So I encourage all your listeners, you cannot tell anybody, any of your friends, this next secret. No more than 10,000 of your closest friends. That's it. I put a limit on it. Okay. Once a quarter, like clockwork, pull up that profit and loss and balance sheet, pull up 2 copies, expanded, print them, get a relationship with your bank, go to your banker once a quarter, get a cup of coffee and say, hey, Barbara, I'd like you to look over my books here. The person who's doing my books says that the grass is green, the sky is blue. Says we're doing pretty good. We're doing pretty well. I'd like to get your opinion on it. And now your commercial banker will take a look at it from a different point of view. And for free, they will give you a ton of advice. So the B plan is huge. That's in depth. If you don't do the B plan, just do the quarterly report with your banker. Very huge. And Mark, do you know what the difference is between a commercial banker and a used car salesman?
No idea.
Nothing. Nothing. I mean, I got a lot of banker friends, and I got banking certs.
Right.
Here's what happens, and I can prove it to you. All contractors go into your bank, and every so often do you see it that your bank has a new branch manager. Huh, how interesting. Or they have a new commercial banker. How interesting. You know why they did? Because that existing branch manager couldn't get enough loans on the streets. It's called getting money on the streets. You know what, Sally, if you can't, it's the 20th of the month and you had another 10 days, get $1 million in loans on the streets. Because if you can't do it, we'll find somebody who can. Banks have an unlimited amount of resources that they can loan. And so Sally's under pressure all the time to get loans, but not just any loans, good loans. And so they're under this constant, unrelenting pressure to get loans. And this is an interesting thing too for contractors. I hope this is useful. Maybe over time a little bit, it could be useful for them. Contractors, typically I see this all the time. I can show you how to make your business effective. Mark, work with Mark. He'll show you how to do this to make money in your business. I want to talk to you about when you turn 65 or 70 and you're done and you want to get out of business. And if you have your own space, your own commercial space, if you're renting or leasing, you got a pile of receipts and it's worthless. I'd like to see you get your own commercial space to operate your business out of. Okay? And then when you get ready to retire, you can sell that commercial space. Here in Seattle, there was a guy who had a restaurant for like 40 years. He was a crotchety old turkey, right? Ornery as heck. It was called the Hurricane Restaurant, down in Mercer Street. And it'd been there for a long time. It was a dive. I mean, you wouldn't want to go in. You and I would not go there. You're a big guy. Okay, get some big guns. So you might want to go in there. But I would never go in there because it was just rough. Well, Amazon began to get large and they started taking over. And a friend of mine and I had the opportunity to buy that building about 10 or 15 years ago. I don't know, for like $1 million. And I said, I got the $1 million, but I'm not interested. It's a terrible location. Amazon bought the damn thing for $27 million.
Yeah, I don't want to hear stories like that.
Yeah, so I went outside. I got a 2x4. I beat myself until I fell over and passed out. Yeah, not literally, but okay. So my point is that if you're a contractor, get your own commercial space. Now, how do you get your commercial space? The smart way or the stupid way? And here's a smart way to do it. We do this myself all the time. You take that P&L balance sheet to your banker once a quarter. And your bankers are always repoing equipment and trucks and cars and small commercial buildings. And when they get a commercial building coming up for repo, they have like a 3-month notice. It's going to go to auction. And so that building, they quit getting any kind of payments on, and now it's sitting on her balance sheet, and it's going against that money in the streets. Sally, you did have $1 million need to get in the streets, but I see you repo that other building, and now you get $1.5 million. You got a real problem. And Sally's saying, it's not my fault, but it doesn't matter. And so Sally looks, and she finds, he says, oh gosh, you know what? Patrick keeps bringing in his financials, and he's done this for quite a while. And Patrick has a small general contracting business. He's doing about $500,000 a year, and his numbers look pretty good. And so then she runs his credit, and she discovers that if she tweaked the numbers a little bit, she might be able to get Patrick to be able to assume that note on that building. And she knows that Patrick's not going to pay $500,000. It's overpriced because now it's only worth $300,000 because it's in disrepair. Then she calls up Patrick and says, hey, Patrick, let's go to lunch. And Patrick said, sure, okay, why not? So they go to lunch, and she says, I've got a building coming up for repo. It's going to go to auction in 2 months. Would you be interested? Because I'm sure I can get you the mortgage and everything. It's just a no-brainer, so lay down. And you're paying $2,000 a month anyway on rent. So the cost of buying the darn thing is like $2,500. Are you interested? Or what it is? And Patrick said, well, sure, why not? And Sally said, well, we're going to do this a little funny. It's called the private auction and the public auction. Well, every city does this. They do public auctions, and usually at 9 o'clock in the courthouse steps, and everybody shows up, and it's a bidding war. And they'll show up with a check, and they'll buy the building, and the end of story. Now it goes off of her balance sheet, but so does that loan. And a lot of times if they're smart, they'll do a private auction at 8 o'clock. This is me all the time. I buy buildings regularly. At 8 o'clock, and then they got to publish it, like 30 days in advance. So some people know about it, some don't. So I show up at 8 o'clock, and the banker shows up at 8 o'clock, and we've agreed that I'm going to buy it for $300,000. And so I show up, and I bid $300,001. And it's just me, the banker, and Sherry, and the auctioneer. And she's looking around. Well, is there anybody else here that wants to bid? And they say, nope. Well, going once, going twice, I guess it's yours. And so now the banker gives the auctioneer a check for $300,000, and I give him $1. Now what happens is the bank has that building, that loan, back on her balance sheet, so she's happy. I've got a building. I'm happy. We just did that about a few years back. A building down here in Linwood. I bought it for $220,000. It's worth about $700,000 now. It was a disaster. It was a real mess. In fact, it was kind of funny because an hour and a half after we bought the darn thing at auction, I had 3 or 4 people showing up here at my office, and the best offer was, I'll give you a $60,000 cashier's check just to take your position. And I said, no, I don't want to sell it. We're going to remodel it and use it ourselves. So was that a piece of useful information?
It was, and I think we've got some content for another lesson here, because a lot of contractors that are successful, they're making money, they're getting profits. Now, what do you do with that? So it sounds like you got some real estate insight to share with us there, maybe, Randal.
Possibly.
Possibly.
Possibly. I don't sell real estate. I don't, but I do have some insights I'd be happy to share. It's just something they can use. Awesome.
Well, Randal, we're about up on time. I want to thank you for this presentation. It's a great lesson. A lot of good golden nuggets there, as they say. So thank you very much. I'm sure the listeners had a lot of good insight there. I love the Randalisms, and hopefully we can have you back.
Oh, Mark, it's been a pleasure. I really appreciate it.
And just before I let you go, Randal, was in contact with your assistant, and we're going to put the notes up in the academy. Your team has agreed to, for anyone who's using QuickBooks and would like help getting set up with the 5 reports, you've got a code for our listeners. We can send them your way, and you guys can help them with that setup. And I think normally you guys charge something for it, but for academy members, you guys have agreed to do a little discount there. So appreciate that.
Yeah, awesome. We only charge $90 to do that, and we get quite a few people paying that. But for the academy listeners, it's no charge, 0.
Awesome. Perfect, Randal. Well, thank you again. Appreciate your time. Great lesson.
Mark, thank you for this opportunity to be on your show.
Awesome. Take care.
Bye-bye.